Hi friends, it's story time. Today we're going to read A Chair for My Mother by Vera B. Williams. So in this story, this is about Rosa, her mother, and her grandmother who lose everything that they own during a fire. Their new apartment has some furniture, rugs, pots, dishes, and some silverware, but it doesn't have a comfortable chair. How will they get that chair, do you think? Let's read and find out how they're going to find a comfortable chair. All right, here we go. A Chair for My Mother by Vera B. Williams. My mother works as a waitress in the Blue Tile Diner. After school sometimes I go to meet her there. Then her boss, Josephine, gives me a job too. What is a waitress? Someone who serves you food when you go to eat? I wash the salts and peppers and fill the ketchups. Once I peeled all the onions for onion soup. When I finish, Josephine says, "Good work, honey," and pays me, and every time I put half of my money into the jar. I wonder why she's putting half of her money into the jar. Maybe she's trying to save it for something special. Look, see the change in the bottom? It takes a long time to fill a jar this big. Every day when my mother comes home from work, I take down the jar. My mama empties all of her change from tips out of her purse for me to count. Then we push all of the coins into the jar. Sometimes my mama is laughing when she comes home from work. Sometimes she's so tired that she falls asleep while I count the money into piles. Some days she has lots of tips and some days she only has a little. Then she looks worried. But each evening, every single shiny coin goes into the jar. So look, they put all the coins into the jar every night. We sit in the kitchen to count the tips. Usually Grandma sits with us too. While we count, she likes to hum. That means like singing a tune. Often she has money in her jar, in her old leather wallet for us. Whenever she gets a good bargain on tomatoes or bananas or something she buys, she puts by the savings and they go into the jar. So whenever she has money left over, she saves it and puts it into the jar. I wonder why they're doing that. When we can't get a single other coin into the jar, we are going to take out all the money and go to buy a chair. Yes, a chair. A wonderful, beautiful, fat, soft armchair. We will get one covered in velvet with roses all over it. We are going to get the best chair in the whole world. That is because our old chairs burned up. There was a big fire in our other house. All of our chairs burned. So did our sofa, and so did everything else. That wasn't such a long time ago. So they're saving all their money for the what? For the maybe something special, like a chair? I wonder why they want it to be velvet with roses. Maybe that's what their old chairs looked like. My mother and I were coming home from buying new shoes. I had new sandals and she had new pumps. That's like high heels. We were walking to our house from the bus. We were looking at everyone's tulips. She was saying she liked red tulips and I was saying I liked yellow. And then we came to our block. Right outside of our house stood two big fire engines. I could see lots of smoke, tall orange flames. They came out of the roof. All the neighbors stood in a bunch across the street. Mama grabbed my hand and we ran. My Uncle Sandy saw us and ran to us. Mama yelled, "Where's Mother?" I yelled, "Where's my grandma?" My Aunt Ida waved and shouted, "She's here, she's here, she's here. It's okay, don't worry." So why do you think they felt worried? What do you think they felt worried about? When they walked home and they saw their house on fire, they felt worried because they wanted to make sure that Grandma was okay. Grandma was all right. Our cat was safe too, though it took a while to find her, but everything else in our whole house was spoiled. That means it was burned by the fire. Look, see inside of their house after the fire? What was left of the house was turned to charcoal and ashes. We went to stay with my mother's sister, Aunt Ida, and Uncle Sandy. Then we were able to move into the apartment downstairs. We painted the walls yellow and the floors were all shiny, but the rooms were very empty. The first day we moved into The first day we moved in, the neighbors brought pizza, cake, and ice cream. They brought a lot of other things too. The family across the street brought a table and 3 kitchen chairs. The very old man next door gave us a bed from when his children were little. My other grandpa brought us this beautiful rug. My mother's other sister Sally had made us red and white curtains. Mama's boss Josephine brought pots and pans, silverware, and dishes, and my cousin brought me her own stuffed bear. Everyone clapped when my grandma made a speech. "You are all the kindest people," she said, "and we thank you very, very much. It's lucky we're young and we can start all over." So that was very kind, that because all of their stuff was spoiled in the fire, that their neighbors helped by bringing them new furniture, by bringing them food, by bringing them things to fill up their house that was empty. That's very kind. How are some ways that you could help your neighbors if they needed it? It's very nice. Look at the jar. Now it's full. That was last year, but we still have no sofa and no big chairs. When Mama comes home, her feet hurt and there's no good place for me to take a load off my feet, she says. When Grandma wants to sit back and hum and cut up potatoes, she has to get comfortable as she can on the hard kitchen chair. So that is how come Mama brought home the biggest jar she could find at the diner, and all the coins started to go in the jar. Now the jar is too heavy for me to lift down. Uncle Sandy gave me a quarter. He had to boost me up so I could put it in. So the jar, when it was full, was very heavy. After supper, Mama and Grandma and I stood in front of the jar. "Well, I never would have believed it, but I guess it's full," Mama said. My mother brought home little paper wrappers for the nickels and the dimes and the quarters. I counted them all out and wrapped them up. On my Mother's Day off, we all took the coins to the bank. The bank exchanged them for $10 bills, and then we took the bus down to the shop for our chair. So do you think they're going to have enough money to get the chair that they want? Let's see. We shopped through 4 furniture stores. We tried out big chairs and smaller ones, high chairs and low chairs, soft chairs and harder chairs. Grandma said she felt like Goldilocks and the 3 bears trying out all of the chairs. Look at all the chairs. Do you see one that they described before in the store? Finally, we found the chair that we were all dreaming of, and the money in the jar was enough to pay for it. We called Aunt Ida and Uncle Sandy. They came right down in their pickup truck to drive the chair home for us. They knew we couldn't wait for it to be delivered. See it? I tried out our chair in the back of the truck. Mama wouldn't let me sit there while we drove, but they let me sit in it while they carried it up to the door. We set the chair right beside the window with the red and white curtains. Grandma and Mama and I all sat in it while Aunt Ida took our picture. Now Grandma sits in it and talks with the people going by in the daytime. Mama sits down and watches the news on TV when she comes home from her job. After supper, I sit with her and she can reach up and turn out the light if I fall asleep in her lap. Aww. And there they are in their chair. So Rosa helped out her family by working at the diner sometimes to help them save up the change to buy the chair. How do you help your family at home? What are some ways you help your family at home? They all work together to get the chair that they wanted. All right, friends, I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.